Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Okay, the 4th of March, Titan FC are back. Brett Johns, you are trying to claim back the title, let's say. I say claim it back. You never lost it, but it's almost like a John Jones situation where you have to fight for it again. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one. Like, and the stupid thing is, this isn't the first time, which is it's something I don't know. I don't think I enjoy doing it, but my body seems to enjoy doing it. But yeah, it's a bit of an awkward situation to be.
I gotta admit, you've got a tough opponent now, Brett. Like Ricky's.
Oh, definitely. You know, this kid, Ricky Simons is he's special. You know, and he's a good guy. And but then again, you know, they are the fights I want. You know, why should I be fighting guys I know I can beat? You know, as a world champion, I want to fight the best guys out there.
I tell you what, he put a hell of a performance though against Alex Soto. I was really impressed with the way he went there in that fight against Alex Soto. You know, you think you had Alex Soto, ex-UFC guy. You know, Ricky was. You know, he's an unbeaten prospect. He was. You know, that was his first real test. I was mightily impressed with how he did in that bout.
Yeah, you know, Alex Soto. You know, like I say, he is that UFC vet, and Ricky seems similar to me. You know, he wants to get them big names on his record now. He's got a good record coming up. But he's 8-0 or 9. I'm not saying he's 8 or 9-0. You know, and he looks good. You know, I'm watching his fights and stuff, and we're keeping a good track on him. And yes, it's a cracking fight. It's a hard fight, and that's what I want. You know, and I'm sure he's in his camp over there now, and he's thinking exactly the same. You know, because I'm a good gym, a respected gym out there, and.
Yeah.
You know, there's no bad blood to this one. It's a bit different between me and Gutierrez. You know, there's a little bit of trash talk, but this time, you know, it's just I can see it just being a bit of a quiet one, but it's going to be a barn burner, I think, if I'm honest. You know.
Yeah, I tell you what, I like the Gutierrez would do the smack talk. It helps sell a fight, and do you know what? It was a bit humorous, I have to admit. I believe they've said he's going to be on the card. I'd like to see him matched up against Wally Watson. They did talk about doing the rematch and all that stuff. I'd like to see it happen again, only because there is, you know, I think it would be an interesting bout because, like we said, Anthony did clip Wally, but then he fell into those gangly long legs and just got wrapped up like a nice little hug and then got tapped out. So I would like to see that fight on the card. You know, separate matter, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, to be honest, like I know that the Gutierrez is on the undercard. I'm not sure particularly who's fighting yet. You know, I haven't heard nothing. Maybe it might be that Andrew Yates fight or whatever, but you know, Gutierrez would obviously, if he fought Wilder, he'd obviously have the stand-up advantage. But in the same breath, you've got Watson who will favour in the grappling department. And if I'm honest, both guys are good in that weight. Both guys are very good and in their own little respected thing. You know. Now Simons, on the other hand, Ricky Simons is different again. He seems to have every sort of region covered, you know. I think with Gutierrez and Watson, they kind of, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, they're not bad in these aspects, but they lack in the wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
And Simons doesn't, you know. I think he is an NCAA wrestler, so that's the next test for me. I think, you know, I fought the guys who hit hard, I fought the grapplers, I fought the strikers. Now let's go out there and fight someone who's similar to me.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, the wrestling grappling that he had against Alex Soto, you could see how, you know, he had a very strong grappling base and he was very controlling. And like I spoke to him and he said that in that fight he had a couple of chances that he could have probably finished it early, but it was good to get the timing under his belt because he's stepping up now to a potential 5-round fight. And
you know, definitely it's a different ball game. 5 rounds, you know. I went through my career doing 3 rounds, and it was tough, you know. My first ever 5-5 fight, I had I was one of the lucky ones who had to fight 3 fights before it, you know. And you know, the first time I ever gassed out in a fight was my 3rd pro fight against a kid called Kyle Prosser, and Kyle on my record. he's retired. He finished. He only had 2 fights and retired. And the first fight he fought me, I won by a decision. And the second fight he was winning until he got cut open. And he was his record on my record stands at 0-2. But to this day, he's one of the toughest guys I've ever fought. And like I said, sometimes the record doesn't speak much. But anyway, he took me in dark waters in a 3-round fight. And I remember after the fight saying to my coach, I never ever want to feel like that again. I never ever want to be in a fight. And when you gas, you feel helpless. You feel like as if you can't do what you want to do because of your fitness is holding you back.
I had the same. I had it in an amateur bout. That my first time, I really started to blow out my ass is the best way. My first ever amateur bout. I wouldn't say it's gassed. I had the kind of I had the adrenaline dump. Was what I had.
Yeah.
But the amateur bout, the two of us went in, and the pair of us were were kind of on par. That we were going to meet eventually. And it was pretty non-stop. And I remember, because I kept taking him down, that's, I think, what... And the thing was, where we were, it was like there was no fucking air. It felt like the air had been sucked out the building. I literally remember... did I submit him? I did submit him, didn't I? What did I submit? Oh, I submitted him with a head and arm choke, that was it. And I remember I was absolutely... At the end of I got the tap, and then I just lay on him. I lay on him, and I was like pretending to give him a hug, but in reality I was like, I can't get up right now. I can't.
Yeah, did you ask him to stay there as well, so for 5 more minutes?
Oh, I wanted to just say, just lie down, and we got up. I got my ass up somehow. The referee lifted my arm up, and I was like, and it flopped back down, and I ended up giving him another hug just to keep me standing up, and then walked out the cage, and I literally I couldn't run, but I literally just walked to the nearest window and threw my head out. I was like, I need oxygen. And my coach is trying to congratulate me, and I just couldn't even. I didn't have the capacity to talk. I just had to breathe.
Yeah.
Oh man,
you're so tired you couldn't even take the praise on board.
I didn't even know what. I don't even remember what anyone said. All I remember was hugging him after, and then walking straight to a window. Don't remember any word that was said. They could have said that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Well, to be fair, they probably did comment on how awesome my escape from the armbar was, but whatever. It was pretty sweet. I watched it back and I went, yeah, that was pretty sweet actually. I was pretty made up with that. And but anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. It's that Ricky Simone might have his first experience of like that deep waters when, say, he gets to the 4th round. Or 5th round. Yeah. That's when.
I found that. Yeah. If I'm honest, I found that out with Gutierrez. Rounds 1, 2, and 3. He's very strong, very fit. And then, if I'm honest, I don't know what it was. There's a lot of factors from the last fight, whether it was the weight cut, or whether it was the injury, or whether I just wasn't fit enough, or the altitude, or just the general place. But. Yeah. Rounds 1 and 2, I was fine. I was myself. Round 3, just horrifically gassed out. And I'm not sure people would agree if they've seen it, but I felt like I was really tired. And then I was like, why am I like this? I'm a very fit guy. And then rounds 4 and 5, I kind of come back. But I was very lucky that, well, I say very lucky, but in rounds 4 and 5, Gutierrez was a little bit tired, and I felt like the rounds 4 and 5 was when I come out of my shell a bit more and just kind of took them rounds,
That's, yeah, sometimes you hit a wall. I find it when I do when I go out running, if I do runs and stuff, I find I hit my wall really early on. It's really weird, like maybe the first 1,000 meters, that's when I hit my wall. It sounds weird. I go out for a jog and I'm suddenly doing, within 1,000 meters, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do any more. I absolutely feel wrecked. But if I keep going, I push through it, I can just keep going after that. It's I think everyone gets that kind of, their body hits a wall. It's like a mental wall, and then they just have to push through it when they do. Yeah. Everything's fine. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain. I'm not a scientist, but I found that myself as well.
Yeah, first of all, it freaked me out a bit because it's never happened before. And I didn't. If obviously I didn't like it. I've never usually like that. If you take my fights with Brum and Desborough, I felt my fitness are absolutely fine. But but then you put me that one fight there. There's just one round. It was just that one round where I felt tired. You know.
Well,
I had a nice comment from LC Davis as well on Twitter because of LC Davis was watching the fight, and after the fight I had the privilege to meet him because, you know, not many people in the game know LC Davis, but like, you know, when it comes to MMA,
yeah, he's in Bellator, yeah, he's a good fighter.
Yeah, no, I'm an absolute geek when it comes to knowing fighters, so I was like, oh my god, that's LC Davis, you know. And he's just come off that big win against that Japanese fighter. The one where like he basically broke his jaw or something. It was an absolute scrap on Bellator. And I said, oh my god, that's you know, big fan, blah blah. So we started talking, and then like he left. We only talked for about 2 or 3 minutes. And he left, and I go on Twitter and I look at it, like I seen capital letters at LC Davis, John's fat ass is fading. So I was like, oh, nice. You know what I mean? I didn't expect that, you know, but he was a nice guy face to face, so I'm honest. It's just that's just him, mate. You know what I mean? That's just LC for you, isn't it?
Well, do you know what? You might have a fat ass. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I might do.
You know, more
maybe
junk
I should go
in the
wake
trunk.
up my ass next time.
Yeah, there's more junk in the trunk. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because, you know, that's one thing. If it was me fighting Ricky Simone, I would look to that would be part of my personal game plan. I would think, right, he's not been taken in deep waters before. I'm going to keep a pace for 5 rounds that I know I can keep. Like, almost like a Michael Bisping-esque, earlier Michael Bisping. I don't think Michael Bisping can't do what he used to do now, but yeah, he used to back then, but keep that nice 70%, 60-75% just constant pressure. And my goal would be to try and get him to fade off in those latter rounds, and then just start to keep that pace, which he can't keep up with. That would be if I was to fight an opponent, that's what my kind of mindset would be. Obviously, you'd like to go in there, knock him out in the first punch, and that'd be it.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, that's number one, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
You know, everybody will beg for that. Like that McGregor fight, 30 seconds KO, but you know, it doesn't always happen, as you might see, like, you know, and it's gonna be a tough fight. I know it's gonna be a tough fight, you know, and I am basically every fight I have, you know, we're fighting for world titles in this game now, you know. Yeah. They're not gonna be easy fights, you know. It's gone from these days where you watch people fight in cans. It doesn't happen at this level, and if I'm honest, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, he's gonna bring the best in me, and people. If I'm honest, I see it being a tougher fight than Gutierrez and Watson. I really do. But like, toughness is one of my favourite tributes to the show. You know, if anybody's going to take Ricky Simons into deep waters, it's going to be me. It's going to be someone who can go that distance, and I can't go the distance. You know, the only way he's going to be able to not take it, I'm not going to be able to take the distance, is if he stops me before then. You know, or I stop him before then. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason, really. It won't go to deep waters. But you know, like I said, I'm a confident guy. I'm confident in my team. You know, I'm sure he's confident in his team. I'm confident in my team. And basically, it's just may the best man win, really, innit? You know what I mean? I'm not going to talk my smack talk. If anything, I think he's a really good fighter and that. But I feel like I'm the next. I feel like I'm the next generation. I'm you know, if I'm honest, I think we both are the next generation. You know, me and Ricky are the next generation. But I put a lot of effort into getting where I am, you know, for a long time, and I just feel like that's going to be the difference, really.
I was going to say, I think that's the pair you both are on that next generation. The thing is, you're coming up together, so you're crossing paths earlier on in your career, maybe than you might have done if you were on different promotions. You might have met later on at the UFC, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Will you be looking to go over a little bit earlier this time, just to help yourself settle in with, obviously, the time zone difference, to help get yourself settled for the weight cutting, etc., and stuff like that?
Yeah, it is an option. It's just as you know, John, it's not really the best paying sport, and unfortunately, I don't have much money to do that. You know,
right, yeah.
You know, money is a big issue in the. Well, I say issue. It's not a big issue. That's not what I mean. It's
Well, it makes a difference. It makes a difference in this side of things.
It does make the difference.
Yeah, it makes a difference in your prep.
Yeah, and I feel like if I did have the money, I'd be able to go go out there a couple of days. I'd bring someone with me. I'd go out and, do you know what I mean? I do that stuff, and unfortunately, money is a big issue, and you know, unless you get to the high payers, then it's not going to change. You know, unfortunately. I've got a team to kind of look after as well. I got my management and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And them guys are great. They do everything they can for me. But still, you know, unless you're gonna get a sponsor like Monster Energy or Red Bull, they're gonna pay you. You know, look, here's 30k, and we'll give you all these kit. Then you're gonna be okay to do that. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things you got to consider. Even with the UFC, there's fighters still who have that issue where they go to like GoFundMe or whatever to help get coaches to come over with them, because the UFC only pay, I think, for UFC will pay for the fighter and the one coach.
Yeah, they do that for me as well. Yeah, fighter and a coach.
So it is one of them things where you've got to be. It does make a difference, like you're saying, and I'm sure, obviously, if you did go over early, there would be gyms around there that would be more than accommodating for you to help you out.
Oh, definitely. If I'm honest though, Gutierrez gym, Glory
MMA,
Kickboxing in Kansas, they actually let us come over for one session just to do whatever we wanted to do, and you know, there was interviews there, and that was really cool. It was nice to step in another gym, because believe it or not, I don't take a step in many gyms. The only gym I step into is my one in Forest Park with Chris in Swansea, and the one in my hometown in Pontypridd with my father, and they're the only two gyms I go to. So it's nice to go to different gyms and see different people. And it was mental, because like I'm looking over and Zach Cummings is there, and I'm like, wow, that guy was fighting Gary Nelson in UFC Dublin. And then I look over and James Krause is there. I'm like, wow, that guy fought Sam Stout. And you know, like I said, the MMA geek of me, the MMA geek in me then come out, and I'm like, wow, these guys are big deals. But like, then again, you know, I was in Amsterdam a few weeks ago, and we passed this bar, or I don't know if it was a bar. It was more like a restaurant-y, cafe sort of bar thing, and on TV was Tough, was my fighter, and guess what my fighter was on?
Anthony Gutierrez one.
Is the one with the Gutierrez one. So my girlfriend's like, oh, look, she's looking at the menu, she's like, oh, I don't really fancy nothing here, and I just want to go, no, we'll go in here, it'll be fine. They're probably serving like, I don't know, dog or something, but I'm like, yeah, no, we'll go in this one, this will be fine. And I'm trying to wait there to watch, and the guy's coming out, and he's like, you know, man, come in here, we'll make you a good deal. I said, I'm just watching the fights here, you know. I'm just desperate to tell someone. When he comes on, I'll be like, look at my missus, and I'll go, beat him. You know. But yeah, you know, that's mental. Like, you know, just walking into a restaurant or a bar in Holland, and there's UFC on, like, you know, and I'm thinking, I beat the guy from that show, you know, and you know, am I that far away, really? You know, and that's what I feel like. And there's so many groups at the minute, like different sort of news or MMA news groups, and they're all saying like, oh, look, John's is touted for the UFC and this guy's touted for the UFC, but you know, until I really get there, I'm not gonna get my hopes up or nothing like that, you know.
Well, I spoke to Andre Harrison about that. We had a conversation where I was saying, look, you're undefeated to Andre Harrison. I was saying, you know, if you look at the guys you just recently beat, you got Cody Bollinger, Kurt Hollablog, and Desmond Green. I said these are a list of guys who have got really good credentials to their names, and you know, and he take his next fight is Steven Seiler. You know, that's a hell of a bout on that card. Like, so if he was to take down Steven Seiler, you know, it would be really confusing as to how you wouldn't then get into the UFC, because you're pretty much beating a quite high kind of class of guys outside of the UFC. Like, who else? There's not many other places to go. Like, unless he were to get signed to somewhere like Bellator and fight someone in there, I don't know where else he can go, what else he can do, really. Like, who else is Titan going to bring in for him?
Yeah, definitely, you know, and, you know, like all them guys you named there, I can name what they've done, where they've been, do you know what I mean? And it's like, them guys he's fighting there, and that's what I'm missing out, you know. But in all fairness, though, in Andre's last couple of guys he's fought, there's not that like dangerous up and coming guy.
No, he needs finishes. He needs the finishes. He does, and I think he knows that as well. He knows he needs to get some finishes in, because before his run in Titan FC, he did have finishes. He had I think he had like 2 finishes in a row or something like that. And since he's been in Titan, every fight he's had, he's won. And, you know, fair enough, they're all decisions. But I think, yeah, like you say, he probably needs to go into with this fight with Steven Siler and put him away. The problem is, Steven Siler is a tough son of a bitch.
I was just going to say, you know, that's the fight. He's probably one of the hardest to finish out of everybody there.
yeah. So I feel a bit bad for him. 'Cause I'm like, this is, if you could finish him, it'd be awesome. But it's a hard fight to finish. Like, cause Steven Siler, if he finishes Steven Siler, like, I'm not being funny, that would be huge if he did that.
Yeah, I was watching a few years ago when Desmond fought Siler. Was that for the belt?
That was for the belt on Titan, yeah.
Well, that's the one that I watched, and I know that Siler has actually tried to cut the 135 before as well.
It's too much for him.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you've spoken to him about it, but I think he cut before the 140. I think that, you know, he only got to 140, and you know, sometimes, you know, people think, oh, can we go that light the category, and they try it out and they can't do it, and it's understandable, but potentially I like that fight. I like the Steven Siler fight, you know.
Yeah.
That's a fight that I generally do like. So depending on what happens over the next, you know, few months, you know, maybe potentially that might be a fight I'd like, you know, and you know, only because of the card. Like I said, it's not. I'm not this Conor McGregor-esque person. You know, I'm not calling people out, but when I look at the roster of people, I just think, right, his name would look good in the record.
Yeah.
Ricky Simon's name would look good in the record for like an up and coming athlete.
He's unbeaten as well, so give him his first loss. That's a good thing to have.
Yeah, and then I look at that and Steven Siler. Steven Siler's a vet.
Yeah.
You know, he knocked on Mike Brown, like, you know, and that says it all. Mike Brown was a WEC featherweight champion.
Yeah, legend. I met in fact, I don't know if I told you already, but did I tell you about how I met him? I can't remember, but I met him up at UFC Glasgow. He was cornering Robert Whiteford. And I was like, fucking hell, I was like, there's Mike Brown. So I went over, I said, Mike, if you've got a minute, I'd love to get a picture with you. And obviously Brad Pickett was over there as well as a guest speaker, but he's obviously he knows all the ATT boys. And I know about Brad Pickett's shenanigans that he gets up to. He's a right little fucker for it. But we stood there and I'm like, about to get a picture with Mike Brown, and he pulls down my shorts in the middle of the hotel lobby. We're in the posh hotel, like Radisson or whatever, full of fighters and people. I've stood there with Mike Brown about to get a picture taken, and Brad Pickett, Mike obviously was co-host. He stood there with the camera about to take camera. He turns the camera downwards, like towards my crotch areas, and I'm thinking, what are you messing around with? And also my shorts come down. I'm like, you son of a bitch. I was like, I should have known. I can't believe I forgot that Brad Pickett's around. He does it to everyone. It's something he just does. He just pulls people's pants down and stuff. He's such a jokester. I was just,
them two guys have been friends for a long time as well, haven't they? Yeah, you know, him and Mike.
Yeah, so I'm still with Mike Brown with my pants around my ankles. What a great memory and a great moment to share.
You'll take that out of the grave with you.
Yeah, exactly. I met a legend with my pants down. Wonderful.
No, like I said, though, it's you know, to have someone you know at that caliber, like Steven Siler's caliber, it'll be good. You know, obviously I know you won't probably cut the 135, but depending on how I feel where I am in my career, you know, that might be a fight I'd like, because, you know, they're good guys. You know, they shouldn't be annoyed that I want to fight them. They should be like quite happy about it. Like, oh look, you know, he thinks I got a good record and he wants to fight me. So it was the same thing with Watson, really. You know, it was a fight that I wanted.
Yeah.
After the Brum fight, I did say I wanted to fight UFC veterans.
Yeah.
When Cage Warriors come to town, they said they wanted to sign Jens Pulver.
Yes.
Well, that was a fight that I wanted, and you can ask, you know, Ian Dean was the guy matching up, and I'm like, Ian, what am I going to do to fight Jens Pulver? And he's like, no, that fight's not for you, you know. And I wanted a fight. I wanted to test these things, you know. How, you know, like on your record, you got Jens Pulver on your record. And no matter what his record is, but people know Jens for what he's done.
Yeah, he's a legend. And do you know what? He was really. I quite enjoy his commentary. You know, he was on there. He did the commentary on Cage Warriors a couple of times. He joined Brad and Josh, and I quite enjoyed his commentary on there.
Yeah, no, he was good. You know, and it was a bit thing then. About 3 months after or 4 months after I wanted that fight, that I signed with Sucker Punch, which is Jens Pulver's He's good friends with Brian Butler, which is my manager, you know. So that was a bit freaky, but that happened. But you know, I'm the guy. You know, I want to fight the good guys out there. And when I won my world title with Cage Wars with Brum, it was I wanted to fight the best out there. And I looked at the top of the list of 135, and at the time it was either James Pennington, the guy who pulled out the tournament. There was either Ronnie Mann or there was either James Brum. So I looked at the records. I think Ronnie Mann was like 1 or 2 and 0, and then like I looked at James Brum, who was like 8-7, 8 and 0 with the promotion. Well, obviously he's the number 1 contender.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to cheat nobody out. And that was a hard fight to take. You know, it was realistically we were the underdogs going into the fight, and you know, I just wanted to prove people wrong, which I thought I did. You know.
Yeah, he's recently signed with On Top Promotion, On Top Management. The James Lake, who looks after Stevie Ray and Joe Caldwell and all that, he's just signed up with them.
Who has?
James Brown.
Oh, I thought he was at Sucker Punch. I thought he was.
Nah, he's just signed with. Well, I don't know if he's agreed to leave them, because it was recently announced that he's signed with On Top Management.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
oh, there you are.
Yeah. So he's moved. So things are going to be moving around. I think he's been up to Thailand. I think been doing a lot of training in Thailand recently. I think.
Yeah, I did see some stuff. You know, he gets around a lot. Of fairness to him, James. You probably he's training in America. He's training in Thailand, and I'm here stuck in sunny Swansea. You know.
Sunny Swansea, beautiful, isn't it? Lucky man, eh?
Yeah, lucky man with the lucky weather, with the lucky rain, you know.
It makes us tougher. That's what I tell people. It embeds a will inside of us that people don't get. People who train like in sunny in like California in the sunshine all the time, they're weak. They're weak.
Yeah. I love it when I'm running. I'm going running. I put my headphones in and I'm running through the rain, and some music comes on, and I just picture myself in a music video. I just go for miles then, you know.
Yeah, I do the same. I did. I suddenly turn into like a movie scene, and I'm like, yeah. It's like start.
Yeah, no. I feel like I'm a proper actor. I feel like there's hidden cameras everywhere, and I'm running through the rain.
I do the same. I'm like throwing punches while I'm trying to run and look like an idiot.
And then people are looking at me as if to say he's escaped from the mental asylum. Just running through the rain in a pair of shorts, like.
Yeah, people know me around here, so they just go, "Oh, it's just him being it's just John. He's just an asshole. Don't worry about it."
yeah, like it's like the local nutter.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're just used to me.
It's like me in Swansea and you over with you.
I walk around in shorts all year round, whether it's sun, rain, hail, snow, whatever. And honestly,
I think that's frowned upon now, though, isn't it?
Mate, honestly, I get it all the time, mate. I walk around in my shorts all the time. I love wearing my shorts, and people just look at me going. Honestly, I had a woman the other day. I was walking through to the shop through a car park. Woman's like, "You're nuts, you are." And I was like, "Why? You got your shorts on?" I was like, "Nah, it's fine." And she's like, "It's not. It's freezing." I'm like, "Nah, it's fine." Just walking on, and like I get it all the time. Just people look at me going, "How can you wear them?" I'm like, "But they're really comfy."
That's the thing. It's comfy, and I like showing the bottom of my pale legs.
Yeah, my beautiful pale calves are something that need to be shared with the world, I feel.
Yeah. So basically, I'm gonna put my calves are so white. I'm like, you've seen me fight, John. I'm like a blank white piece of paper.
Yeah, we are. We're white and proud, mate. That's what it is. White is paint, like white magnolia.
I know. I literally stand too close to the radiator and I burn.
Yeah.
You know, so I gotta be careful really. And I remember Lanzarote this year, and like I'm wearing a pair of MMA shorts. I'm one of them muppets, you know the guys who walk around in MMA shorts and they usually get abused. We call them down here tapo wankers because usually it's the tapo guys. Well, basically that's me on holidays.
Yeah.
So I literally go in. I walk into the pool and I'm wearing a pair of MMA shorts. I got noticed this time. That was quite cool. Some guy from Birmingham that I met out there, and he knew who I was on the local scene. So that was quite cool. But yeah.
Oh, Brett. The thing is though, MMA shorts, they're really comfy.
Yeah, I think that as well. Like obviously you can't just walk around a pair of Valley Tudos in your local town, like you know.
Well, you can.
Yeah, you can. I think you might get arrested for it though. Or a pair of Dennis Holman Speedos.
You could lie and say, "Look, I've lost my bicycle. I put it down somewhere. I can't find it. That's why I'm wearing these."
Yeah, no, I think with my ones then there must be a height restriction on the shorts. Then it has to be.
Do you know what? MMA shorts are super comfy. I love wearing my MMA shorts. I've got, obviously they're not tap out ones. So, well, I got I've got one pair of tap out ones which I wear. The rest of them, I've got some old school sprawl ones which are just deadly and are just super comfy to wear. I love it.
I talked about the tap out there. I remember before, like, basically I'm with my girlfriend, and every time I pass, like, basically it's like guys who I don't mind if you come to training in tap out, it doesn't really bother me, okay, but it's when the guys who don't do MMA and they're wearing tap out and they think they're the MMA fighters of the world, and basically I'll judge them all, you know, like I'll drive past my girlfriend and I'll go, look at him there. And she'll go, oh, stop being a bully. I said, no, look at him there. He's wearing his tap out stuff. He's walking as if he's got carrying 2 televisions underneath his arm. Yeah. And I'm going, look at him, man. I'm trying to judge him. And then I realise then, I look back on a few display photos on Facebook, and I'm there in all my tap out gear, and then I quickly shut up.
I kind of do the same as well, I won't lie. I walk through town and I'll see someone, I'm like, you wouldn't even know what to do if I shot in right now for a double leg. You
yeah. Know. And then, I get that thing, and whenever I go on my Facebook and I pass that photo, my girlfriend just gives me this look as if to say, tap a wanker, is it?
Yeah. I'm like, I feel like saying that, like, I could tap you out with a head and arm choke in guard. That's how that's how bad you are, mate. That's what I feel like saying to them.
Yeah, so no, it was like I said, you know, right. It's an awesome it's awesome just to roll around in MMA shots, just chilling, you know. That's the dream right there.
It is, mate. People who don't own them need to buy them and just sit in them and go, actually, these are deadly. They are missing out.
They don't even need to do MMA. They just can't wear tap out.
Yeah, just.
Oh, mind you, I'm giving bad publicity to tap out. No, actually, scrap that. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, there are other brands available, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, there are other brands available.
We're trying like the BBC when they talk about products and brands. You go, there are other brands available. We're trying to be balanced.
Yeah. No, did you watch the Sage North Cup fight in the weekend?
Yeah, I did, mate. I did. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a bit thinking about that. You know.
Well, he came out. He was on the MMA Hour and said that he had a strep throat, and he was on a load of antibiotics, working with WADA to make sure the medication was not going to flag anything up. And yeah, he said that he had basically like a throat infection, and that was all that stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, even still, how are you allowed to compete then if you're like the day before he went to the hospital and got stuff done? And I was like, how are you allowed to step in? Like, how?
He's probably jacked up on all these different things. I'm not saying they're illegal, but like, you know, he's probably like, you know, you should be. Mind you, I can't say much, but you should be, you know, to discharge the fight. Like, you know, you should be fighting.
He shouldn't.
If you're ill, like, you know,
he shouldn't afford.
Especially he's 19 years old.
Yeah. Like, why he didn't need to fight? He could have just said, no, I'm not well, I've got to go. Considering that his fight got changed to a different weight class because his last opponent got injured, like, it wouldn't have mattered if he pulled out. It wouldn't have made it wouldn't have been a problem. So
no.
I thought that myself. Thought, dude, you shouldn't have fought. There was no pressure on you to fight. Like, if you stepped out, no one would have cared. Because
two things I will say though, which basically. I didn't like obviously the MMA community just basically saying, oh look, you know, here's the hype train derailed, and he tapped out quickly, and you know, it was a quick tap. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, you know, look at the pressure on the kid, like, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, I was saying I call it the Dana hype train. I did say the hype train because I call it the Sage, Paige, and Ronda hype trains have gone. You know, that's like because Dana put a lot of investment in these three, and then the last one is Conor. Like, if Conor would lose against Rafael dos Anjos, like, all his little babies effectively have, who he has shown a bit, I would say, shown a bit more, like, not favoritism, but a focus on, that has kind of plummeted. With Sage, I think he was pushed way too far, way too fast. Like, even, and what griped me a bit more was, that was his third fight in, like 5 weeks, or like 2 weeks it felt like, but, you know, in a few months. And there's guys in the UFC who are gagging for a fight, they're dying to get a fight and they can't get one, yet the UFC are able to match him up pretty quick. That was, like, so that kind of griped me, those little things griped me about the whole situation. And, you know, he is a kid, that is the thing. It was, I will be honest, I've been putting half, like you've been putting a head and arm choke from half guard. It's not nice, but it's not the end of the world. He's so lost on his back. And the thing is, he went to TriStar and was there for a few days, and he got pulled out of it by his dad because he was tired. Basically, he was showing signs of being a bit lethargic because he was worked so hard. He's never trained that hard. I'm like, dude, you need to be in there with killers. You need to train with those killers.
Yeah, he's literally relied on just being
A freak.
Basically a genetic freak,
Yeah,
like, you know.
yeah, basically, yeah. He has that one first round of pure explosion, and because he's just like, you can see it. He's physically ripped. He's got these fast twitch muscle fibers, but then when that first round's gone and you've expelled all that explosive energy, you can't do it as much in the second and the third, and like that's what happened. The second round came, he just didn't have it in him to get up again. You know,
yeah, like I said, you know, if I'm honest though, anybody could be like that.
Yeah.
And they'd be the same, you know. You react at 110%, then you're gonna have to expect the later ones to be tough, like,
yeah.
you know.
He needed to be trained at TriStar the whole time, not pulled out because he got tired. Because you know what, he should have stayed there when he got tired, took a day off, recover a bit more.
Yeah.
And he needs to literally, what happened in that fight needed to happen at TriStar. He needs to get his ass kicked every
in TriStar,
day.
yeah, for sure, definitely. You know, you need to. I totally agree with that. I bet you there's nobody in that gym. I bet his father was there, took him out. But like,
yeah,
you know, he should have had like John, you know the score. I get put in Shark Tanks.
Yes.
With my amateur team. Like, what Shark Tank would he be in? It doesn't look like he's been in the Shark Tank.
Well, I doubt he has. Yeah, because the thing was that
he got clipped with an elbow.
Yeah.
And he got split open, and then he sees the first sign of blood, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I remember the Shark Tanks I've been in. My coach would say, "Right, I'm going to give you a position to start in each time." So we wouldn't start from the standing. It would be like, right, okay, you're going to be on your back. I would always be in a crap position. They'd always be in the dominant position, and then we'd start the Shark Tank every time. So when I'm wrecked and I've went through like nine guys and I'm absolutely hanging out my ass, he would go, right, okay, he's going to be in your side control, go on your back, and you're like, oh, I don't even know if I can move anymore. And that's what you need. You need to have literally your own teammates beating the crap out of you. And if he had that TriStar in that fight, he would have been a lot more composed and a lot more, you know, he would have just been used to it. He'd been like, yeah, I've been here before, this is going to be fine. But it almost felt like that was the first time someone had been beating his ass down in a fight.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm for him and his family and his friends. They've never seen him in that situation.
No.
Like I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at me and look at Sage. It's nothing like that. But you know, like my last fight, I snapped my hamstring in the fight, and I go out and I win rounds 4 and 5. That just shows that I've been handed my ass whoopings. You know, I've had my fair share of ass whoopings in the gym, and that's the truth. That's true, you know. And for example, I remember before I was with my coach, Chris, doing my Shark Tank, and basically what he does is he goes, "There's 5 5s, and you get basically it's a fresh partner me every minute." Yeah. And we did round 1, and my coach looked at me and goes, "Oh, how do you feel?" I said, "Yeah, no, I feel fine." We did the first round. Yeah, I was tired, but I wasn't blowing. And he goes, "Oh, good, because I'm cutting your rest time by half as well now. So instead of like having a minute break, it was 30 seconds." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." You know, and you just basically suck in every bit of oxygen you can in. But you know, it's tough, like, and people can't take it away from me that I don't train hard. You know, I train as hard as I can every single day. You know. That's
something, that, you know, it's something that he needs, which comes with the knowledge of being in a good team. That's the problem. He's been, like I say, he was propelled too fast, in my opinion, and I think they should have nurtured him a bit more. I think I think they shouldn't have signed him as quick as well. I think they could have signed him, but kept him on the regional scene, if that made sense. Like I say, loan him out. I think they needed to let him get a bit more under his belt experience. But then again, he got propelled too quick. It was going to happen eventually. You know, you saw it in a Fister fight. His holes in his game, and eventually someone was going to be strong enough and more knowledgeable enough to bring that, to beat him out, and that's what happened in this fight. It was just the guy, like his opponent Barbarian. He's a slow start. He's knowing to go, like, come out in the second and third round more, and that's exactly all he did. He weathered the storm in the first, and then just grinded him out. And do you know what? I think it's a great experience for Sage. It's a shit one to have. Don't get me wrong. Everyone would love to go unbeaten forever, but for him, it's a learning curve. Now, he did say he'll be back soon. I was like, I don't want you back soon. I want you to go away and learn.
Yeah. I was like, he'd struggle with the types of guys like Pat Healy.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
I thought about that as well. I thought that would just be and it would be shit, that, because Pat can take a hit. So, like, Sage will come and hit him, and Pat will go, "Yep, my turn."
Yeah. Did you see the fight between him and Marcus Edwards? Like, I'm a big fan of Marcus Edwards.
I did,
and like, I'm really good mates with him and stuff. But Marcus Edwards doesn't hit light. Like, you know, I saw him on the pads in the change room in Kansas, and like, that guy does not hit soft. Like, you know.
I saw that fight. I saw it, mate.
Yeah, and like I said, he took the shots in the first round, come out in the second. So, you know, and like I said, and like someone like that against Sage, and I think that blow him out the water. You know.
Well, that's the
thing.
You
can't teach toughness, see?
Yeah, it's like, imagine Khabib. Khabib would just be like a blanket around him. And he just,
yeah.
It would be the same. It would be like just Khabib just grappling and just wearing him out, you know. And that's he needs to literally have a Khabib in his training camp grinding him down all the time. That
could do that to him, yeah. I feel like in Sage Northcutt's camp, it's just the best guy in the gym is Sage Northcutt.
Yeah. That's pretty much probably what it is. And he works specifically on a lot of flashier stuff and explosive stuff, and I'm like, now you need to get down to the gritty stuff. You need to literally, you know, get a guy who's bigger than you, stronger than you, who's going to pin you down and make you work to get on the feet and literally make you fight for your life. That's what you need. You need to have that kind of guy.
Yeah, for sure, definitely, you know.
But then again, hopefully this has probably ignited that acknowledgement, and maybe he's sitting there going, yeah, I need to sort this out. I need to go and sort this out. Hopefully. We don't know what's going to happen, but well. Well, we're digressing now onto a completely different fighter and promotion. Let's get back to Titan FC.
yeah, we got carried away there.
Yeah, Ricky Simone, 4th of March, 135 strap. I know it's going to be a hell of a scrap, because I know what you're like, and I know from his fight against Alex Soto the potential he's got as well. It's a lovely mixture. It's a lovely kind of competitive battle that's going to go on. Brett, I'm gonna let you shoot off, because I know it's late here in the UK, and even though I know we can talk for a very long time, my friend, how about, buddy, you give out your social media stuff to people before I let you shoot off?
Yeah, I'm at 36 Johns on Twitter. I'm Brett Johns, or Brett Johns MMA Athlete on Facebook, and also Brett Johns MMA on Instagram, man.
Simple as that. On your sponsors, mate?
I want to thank the bridge in a place called Llangenach. The bridge is they're great, and they've helped me out a lot. And John has just been absolutely fantastic, and he's been great. Direct Choice with Richard Norris, who recently jumped on board as well. And I want to thank them. They helped me out with my K1 fight and my up and coming MMA fights. And Booster, best gear out there, and every single piece of technical equipment I've fought in has nothing on Booster, you know.
Booster has got some nice gears, nice snazzy stuff. I've never actually owned any Booster stuff yet. It's probably something I might have to look into in the future to try out some of their bits. And what about, obviously, your team, training partners, your missus?
Yeah, like the guys in my team, they know. It goes without saying, without my teams, I wouldn't have even won my first world title, you know. And you know, you got Andrew Burt and the Dragon School of Combat with Kyle, my brother, Luke Norman. Them guys out there, which have been absolutely fantastic, and also the Chris Reese Academy, and Chris Reese and Ashley Williams, my coaches, my teammates, Ada, Nathan, Scotty, Ben, all the guys really. It goes without saying, them guys will dedicate my life to them guys, and I'm very lucky to have a team to support me and push me in every single way, you know.
Sounds awesome, my man. Brett, thank you very much for speaking with me. Pleasure.
Hey John, thank you very much. Tell Mike he needs to wise up.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? He's a pain in the ass. I like short arse.
Yeah.
But
I had some Carl from him as well, but he's not here, so never mind.
Hey, mate. Thanks very much for chatting, Brett. Lovely speaking to you, buddy. And look, enjoy the rest of your camp. And 4th of March, let's bring it.
Yeah. Thanks, John, and I'll speak to you soon, mate.